Welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we want to share with you the challenges and strategies employed at Bibb County Schools located in Macon, Georgia. Now, Dr. Lori Rogers is the Executive Director of Special Programs there, and she has a little recording here that will help you understand how this program came to be.
In February of 2012, the United States Department of Education approved the Georgia Department of Education of a flexibility waiver of some of the requirements of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. The flexibility waiver has allowed Georgia to design an alternative supplemental education program called Flexible Learning Program. The FLP program is tailored to the needs of academically at-risk students in schools that have been designated as priority and focus. Priority schools are schools that are the lowest 5% of Title I schools as it relates to student achievement. Focus schools are schools with the largest academic gaps between the highest achieving subgroup and the lowest achieving subgroup.
Now, these Bibb County students were not unlike those of many schools, perhaps even yours. Many students had math skill gaps at least one full grade level below their current grade, with a surprising number having gaps 2, 3, 4, or even more levels below their actual grade. And within a given level, each of these students is unique with individual skill gaps. Here you see the functional grade levels of those Bibb County students prior to the FLP program. You can see here in 6th grade, more than half of them had at least one math skill gap in the 1st grade level. In the 7th grade, you see nearly 3/4 with one or more in level 2. In the 8th grade, still many with gaps in level 2, level 4, level 5, and the others in level 7. Now, how can any teacher address the unique situation here? Well, to explain that today, I have with me some help. I'm delighted to introduce some special guests with us today. First of all, from Bibb County Schools, Joanna Gittin-Summerow, Title I Education Specialist. Now, she has worked with the FL program these past 2 years. Joining her is Virginia Stoner from Educational Learning Systems, who provided guidance throughout the implementation. Welcome, Joanna. Welcome, Virginia.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
I wonder now if I can get you to explain a little bit more of how this FLP was set up, of what the students were expected to do in the program. First of all, it was a blended learning program that you chose, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Bibb County decided to look at the data to determine what subject was most needed for remediation. And in our district, it was math. So we decided to do a blended learning format, and we sought out Educational Learning System to help us with implementing this remediation program. And I just really appreciate the partnership that we have with ELS. But in addition to having such a great partnership, we selected Ascend Math to help remediate those most at-risk students in our district. The classroom was set up with a ratio of 10, so there were 10 students in each grade period. And then we gave a pretest to determine what was the course of action of remediation for our students. Virginia, would you like to add anything?
Well, I just think that this has been a great partnership working with the team here in Bibb County. Joanna has been a wonderful leader for this particular implementation. And our challenge was to serve those needs of the students who had the absolute most needs, which included a lot of special needs students. So we wanted it not to be something where the students were just working on the computer, but instead there was a activity involving teacher-directed lessons as well. So we really helped design the format so that it would be blended, using the technology as a tool, but also having the teachers greatly involved in the learning activities that the students.
So the students were moving from teacher-led instruction to collaborative activities, and then in Ascend Math working on their individual skill gaps, is that correct?
Yes.
And they were working 90 minutes a week in Ascend Math?
Normally it was 90 minutes if it was on an A-B schedule, which means the students would have been in class either Monday and Wednesday, or another week could have been Tuesday, Thursday.
Ah.
So, and then Friday, every other Friday with those groups. So usually if it was a 90-minute block, it was really more 2 days or 3 days a week with an A-B schedule. If it was a 60-minute block or 55-minute block, then they would meet every day. So
excellent. All right. Well, let me show you all briefly a little bit of how Ascend Math works and what they were doing at first. Every student in Ascend takes a level recommendation test. This is an adaptive assessment that adjusts to each individual student. That is how their functional grade levels was found. The test increases or decreases difficulty based upon the student's responses. Each test is unique, just as each student is unique. The result is that the Bibb County educators know where students should begin instruction. Now, when a student first logs into Ascend, there are no lessons in his plan. The student takes a short pre-assessment built around like objectives, allowing him to show what he does know. And his lesson plan, of course, fills with the objectives he does not know. The student then begins the first lesson. Completing the interactive instruction and activities, the student takes a post-assessment. Passing the assessment, the student moves on to the next lesson in his plan. Now, when the lessons are completed, the student will again take a brief pre-assessment, building his lesson plan to the next stage. Now, let me show you a closer look at what the student sees and how the student works in here. I'm going to choose concept to perimeter because I haven't seen that one in a while. This is where the student comes in and sees exactly where they're at. This is how the student tracks their own work. David Fox here, he's completed 0 of 5 objectives in this unit, elementary multiplication, and he's already completed units on whole numbers and elementary addition and subtraction. Remember, he's only working on what he does not know. And they're going to begin the same every time. Just start the lesson. And they're going to follow this path 1 through 5. First opening a study guide, which is also available in Spanish. And print that out, or if it is already pre-printed in the classroom, go and get that pre-printed study guide. Then watch the instructional video and work the problems along with the instructor.
How to find area and perimeter using an area model. For this exercise, we'll use a tiling strategy.
Now, they're all fairly short, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Some are a bit longer in algebra and such. And you see right away we're engaging the student. They have to be paying attention because they're going to be asked questions and the video won't move forward. How many rectangles do you see on the bottom? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rectangles. There will be several of these
tiles along the
throughout
bottom
every one of the
3
instructional
tiles
videos.
along the side.
And the student can pause it, replay it as often as need be.
We will answer these questions
once the study guide's been completed and he's gone through the entire video, he can move on to an exploration. There's one of these for every objective that the Bibb County students encounter, and that is to help them understand the objective in another way. If that didn't do it, then perhaps this will. Let's see if I'm bright enough to do it. Now, don't laugh at me, Joanna. Try to make the area 25. Okay, it's area. Part of this is area and perimeter. So I'll drag it up to 5 and 5, and I've got area 25. Oh, try to make the perimeter 40. Now it's the perimeter. Nope, that's area. Okay. Oh, I see what's going to happen. I'm going to have to open it up all the way. And we just drag it all the way, and when we've completed that, we can move on to a practice test. Now, I don't know the answers here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick something. to show you that here we have multiple levels of assistance as well. Not only show the answer, but if the student still doesn't understand, there is yet more content here. There is often a solution video right down to this one particular
Yolanda
problem.
is building an area model that is 8 tiles across and 4 tiles down. Draw Yolanda's area model. So we need a rectangle that's 8 tiles across and 4 tiles down. We have our
Now, only now will the post-assessment unlock. The student takes the post-assessment, once passing it, moves on to that very next objective in line automatically, and once they're done with those, then of course the student will go back and take another pre-assessment. Oops, wrong one. Beg your pardon. Why don't we just go down to where we want to be, if you'll beg my pardon. And now I'm going to take you to another video. And I want you to listen to Dr. Sharon Daniel. Now, she was the instructor, has been the instructor of the FLP program there, and Stephen Jones, because we already determined that these students were working 90 minutes. We recommend 60 to 90 minutes a week on their individual skill gaps to get them to catch up quickly. But how much time will it take a teacher? That's a very important question.
This is our student dashboard. Our student dashboard gives you a glimpse at how long students have been working on the computers, the levels they're completing, the hours that have been done by each grade level, and it just makes life much easier for me.
So as that data is compiled, we will continue to make sure that there's true collaboration among the flexible learning program teacher as well as the regular math teacher or content area specialist.
Now, this is the teacher dashboard that Dr. Daniel was speaking of. This comes on every time she logs into Ascend Math. You could see she has here all the key data for her classes, including the number of levels completed, objectives completed, how many enrolled students, the total hours they've worked. Now, when she wants to look at any individual classroom, she just clicks on that, and that will go to the class dashboard. Now, this provides an at-a-glance look at the classroom as a whole and the progress that students have made the last week since the beginning. Also, you can see here all the different levels that these students in her class are working on and how many levels they have completed over here. Now, when she wants to know what's happening right now, though, this is our latest change. She will go into the live student tracker. This is fairly new, and it has been very positively referenced by teachers. So it provides the real-time data. Now, with this tool and the two dashboards, it takes only minutes each week for teachers to stay on top of what each of their students are doing in their individual study plans and what they should do next. You can see here, for example, each student listed out with the level, the unit, the objective working on, how many attempts at the post-assessment they've made so far, knowing whether they need to intervene, and that is neatly color-coded, as you can see, and the next objective that that student will need to take on. Now, administrators also have a dashboard, like Principal Jones, who just met. This gives them quick access to their most critical data as well. It is through these dashboards and the other easy reporting in Ascend Math that Dr. Daniel and other teachers can manage a whole classroom full of students working at different levels on different skill gaps and moving along at their own pace. I want to look at results next, and I'm going to ask for, once again, Joanna and Virginia's help here. Now, these are the year one results, and these were obtained at Howard Middle School in Bibb County Schools. Could you explain a little bit about the results here and what you saw happen that first year?
So at the beginning of the school year, we had about 58% of students that tested below fourth grade math, fourth grade level in math. By the end of April, look at that, this is phenomenal. Only 15% remained at that fourth grade level. 9% of our students tested at the fifth grade and above at the start of the year, but by April, that number increased to 64%. We had about 2 or more grade levels that was demonstrated with 44% of our students using Ascend. And on average, we did like 1.5 hours, which we were talking about previously.
Right.
9 minutes. So these are really great gains that we saw with year one with our students at Howard.
From students that really struggled mightily before, correct?
And let me stress this. For our flexible learning program, we identified the lowest of the low students, those students who are really struggling in math, are not meeting proficiency with our Georgia milestones, just students that are really struggling and they have a distinct taste for math. And so Ascend helps build that child's self-esteem, gives them the skills that they need to be a better mathematician. And we're just really proud of the success that we saw with year one.
Yeah, these are really great results. And because of it, where did you take the program next?
So because of these phenomenal results, we decided to take this program to another school. That was Ballard Hudson Middle. And as you can see here, 80% of our students gained 1 or more grade levels. So look in September when you can see that the levels when we started out with level 2 compared to the progress that was being made with our students. 41% gained 3 grade levels and 18% gained 4 grade levels. So that was like, Virginia, would you say on average about 20.9 objectives that were completed per week?
Yes, which is phenomenal given that these students were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and they were functioning down at the 2nd, 3rd grade level for the most part when they entered the program. So for students who are that far behind in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to make those kind of gains in 1 year speaks volumes for how successful the program actually was.
Yes, it does. And now I want to share something that this is the thing I personally just was wowed by. Just not that long ago, Joanna and Dr. Rogers and the others there shared with us how these students did on state test results. Now, this was this past year too. More than 50% of the FLP students increased their score on the state test. By comparison, only, and that should read 43, Mike, what did you do? 43% of the general student population, their peers, increased their score. They outperformed the non-FLP students, and these are the terribly at-risk students. That's remarkable.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, they also had greater improvement in their pass. So on average, FLP students passing the test made greater improvement in their scores than did their non-FLP counterparts. And that's just wonderful for their self-esteem. And it is such a credit to the educators there at Bibb County and how you've set up this program, implemented it, and stuck with it. And it just shows what can happen when you take a tool and really use it best. I have one more video that I want to play. Lindsay Allen is principal of Howard Middle School, and he sent this wonderful video to us.
And again, using the Ascend math program had a very profound effect on our students. We saw a lot of growth in those kids, and they were able to move over several grade levels. Math is an interesting subject because they come a lot of times. These are kids who are at risk. So these are kids who have a disdain for math to start off with. They don't like it because their self-esteem has been beaten down so many times because they haven't been successful at math. So another math course during Connections is something marinated in drudgery to them. So when you start building their capacity, then they start seeing the growth, and they see a teacher that really cares, and they see that, hey, I'm getting better. That was the best part about it. But again, having that high-quality teacher, she understanding how to motivate and inspire them using this research-based program was really the mixture that really made it work.